Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who do not know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law. And through this channel, I'll be providing some stock analysis and a quick update on the $1 Million Challenge. So if anybody's not aware of this, this is a journey of an investment of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategy called compound return investing. So the objective is to try to get 201 trades, each with an average return of 3.5%. It's not 201 consecutive trades. We do take into account losses. So for further information about how to join us in the challenge and also to get access to our exclusive in-depth strategy video, information is available in the description below. In the previous video, we looked at ticker symbol MMTLP with a focus on whether or not shorts will have to cover. In today's video, we're also going to do a follow-up on MMTLP, looking at a number of things. First of all, we're going to look at the status of Oilco as a private company. We're also going to look at the likelihood of this potentially squeezing, some further questions. We're also going to look at a quick update on MMAT as well. So before we do that, a quick reminder for everybody watching the channel that tomorrow we do make available our weekly watch list to the members in the Discord. So previously some of the stocks that we called out included Sava. Again, that did fairly well this week in a difficult trading week. We also called out Redbox, which is a stock we've been following since around about $3, and also COGT, PALT, BLUE. Hussa was one of the ones that didn't do very well because obviously there was some bad news with regard to oil, so many of the oil stocks did get hit. So if you'd like to get a copy of the watch list from tomorrow, again, details available in the description below. Let's start by giving a shout out to C-Plant on Twitter. So there have been some more conversations with regard to MMTLP. So the question here posted by C-Plant is, good thing about the S1 filing is that we'll only give the shorts 10 days to cover. And he's tagged in John Berder here. This will be fun. I have 5 alerts watching for the filing and I'm coming with guns blazing. So again, like many other investors, C-Plant is getting ready for this filing, and then hopefully things will get very interesting. But what John has followed on here in terms of confirming is that once the SEC is approved, then Meta can give notice to FINRA and the OTC. However, it's likely that it's going to be 15 days rather than the 10 days, although the minimum required is 10 days. Again, this is according to John Berder. And he's also said here with regard to Oilco, no, there will be no set price. Why would there be? Question mark. It will be private until sold to someone else at a price determined then as it was supposed to be. So again, significant new information here. And what this tells me is, first of all, obviously there are no plans to immediately move it onto the OTC. It looks like it will be held as a private company from what I can see here until a buyer is found. And it also, the final sentence there, what he said is as it was supposed to be. So it certainly seems to be a long-term plan here as a potential, you could say, as a backup plan to hold it in a private company. One potential consequence of this could be potentially to also trap the shorts. So let's continue with this theme, but this time I'm going to share some comments from the channel. And first of all here, shout out to MVP Chair, who's also chipped in just a few minutes ago, and what he said is Oilco not being tradable puts weight on the shorts to cover with the deadline and the new buyer. But he's saying potentially a major oil company is there to then able to make a safe acquisition with regard to the Oregon oil and gas fields. So again, in terms of potential buyers, one of these could be Marathon. It could be another one, could be Chevron. We've also got in one of the big plays could potentially also be Shell. So again, this is all from a positive point of view. And MVP Chair has also said here the shorts will have 10 days to buy shares on the open market, and obviously this will be by buying MMTLP. So it's 10 days minimum, but also potentially 15 days according to John. He's also said John has to be totally negative as to the dividend for legal and personal reasons. So if you refer back to the previous video, this is where John responded to a tweet in terms of one of the YouTube videos and said the calculation was not correct. So he didn't say if the calculation was too high and he didn't say if the calculation was too low, but he did say it was not correct. So, and then finally, Kenneth Martin has said here, Oilco will be a private company. It will not trade on the OTC. So again, that does certainly seem to be the case. So the shorts better get out before the spin out becomes final. So again, very strong messages here to the shorts. Let's now have a look at the question, is it possible for Oilco to squeeze? So I'm going to give a shout out here to Tim Apple on Twitter. So he's asked the same question here. What he said is, can Oilco shares squeeze if it's a private company? I think that's what John Berder is saying. Brokers will have to buy Oilco shares. So again, this was some of these aspects of this question were covered in the previous video. But again, I'm going to also give a shout out here to Tony Twits, and who's responded here. He says, yes, I think John is saying that Oilco shares, which will be non-tradable and only sourced through Meta Materials, must be delivered by the shorts, and if this cannot get the shares, then there will be a significant problem, i.e. shorts may try to buy up MMTLP shares before they become non-tradable. So again, the implication here is a potential squeeze in MMTLP because the shorts will not be able to have ownership of Oilco. Oilco will be a private company, and a private company does not trade on NASDAQ, does not trade on the OTC, so it's extremely difficult to trade. I'm now going to give a shout out to Gray. Again, Gray was featured in the previous video as well, but he's also responded here by saying they will have to buy MMTLP before the spin out date, as the brokers will close their positions, short positions anyway. So again, this is a continuing theme here in terms of the shorts having to cover before the announcement, before the deadline. Again, another shout out here to Optimus Prime, who's also followed on by saying, how can we benefit from a squeeze if the money we receive is from the sale of assets? And finally, Joshua S has responded here, he's not sure how Oilco will squeeze. It's already going to be a private company. Shares will be non-tradable, but I can see MMTLP squeezing before it becomes Oilco. Once the ex-dividend date is announced in the S1, shorts will have a small window, possibly 10 days, possibly 15 days, to buy MMTLP to cover. If no one sells, then the price goes up. So certainly becoming very interesting now. So now that John Berder has more or less confirmed that everything is looking like a confirmed spin out into Oilco, so what I'd now like to do is look at how this conversion from MMTLP into Oilco is likely to take place, in my opinion. So on the screen here, let's have a look at some calculations of what will happen for all holders of MMTLP. So currently I'm using rounded figures, so the nearest rounded figure here is 165 million MMTLP shares. I do know it's slightly below, but let's just use a nice round figure there. And we also know from the SEC filings that there are 250 million Oilco shares. So again, what we can see there is no match. So in terms of conversion, if we look at 250 million Oilco shares, divide that by the 165 million MMTLP shares, then we're looking at every person who holds MMTLP to get the equivalent of 1.51 shares in Oilco. So as we know, Oilco is going to be a private company. So what that basically means, although you will be an owner of Oilco, this will not trade on the OTC. This will be private. That's again, according to John Berder's tweet, it's always been part of the plan. So what I do see now is two options. So first option one, I think it certainly seems to be the most likely and preferred option, according to what John is saying, is for a buyer to come in and buy the company and possibly integrate it into their own valuation, into their own assets. So this could be an existing oil company, possibly an existing oil and gas company, and this would be, in my opinion, a very good outcome overall. So another potential scenario would be for a new buyer to come in, somebody not in the oil and gas industry, and then possibly look at converting Oilco into a stock on the OTC. So that's also a possible outcome, but according to what John Berder has said, the preferred outcome is for a buyer. So this buyer may well be a company that is trading currently on the NASDAQ, most likely in terms of many of the oil and gas companies where they are. But again, certainly things are getting very, very interesting now. What I'd now like to do is focus on looking at the legal status of a private company. So what we can see here on the screen is a private company is going to be a firm that is under private ownership. So this is a company that will issue stock and have shareholders, but the shares will not be trading on a public exchange. So in other words, they will not be trading on the NASDAQ, not be trading on the OTC. and it will not be issued through an initial public offering, so there's not going to be an IPO. So as a result, these firms do not need to meet SEC requirements, which are the strict filing requirements for public companies. So in general, the shares of these are going to be less liquid. So what that basically means, extremely difficult to sell or buy and trade. So the valuations are going to be quite difficult to determine because obviously there is no buying or selling. So finally, in terms of the key takeaways, it's privately owned. It will be owned by existing the 165 million shareholders or equivalent shareholders of MMTLP, and the companies may issue stock and have shareholders, but the shareholders obviously are not going to be trading on the OTC or on the NASDAQ. So the company may choose to remain private, but what we've seen from John is the objective is to get a buyer for the whole company, and then potentially could be trading immediately through a different company on the NASDAQ. Finally, if anybody would like to take part in live trading discussions in the Discord, as well as get access to our weekly watch list, which is going to be made available tomorrow. We're also currently looking at a new potential stock right now with a strong potential for squeezing, and that will be exclusively shared with the Discord owners tomorrow. So we're currently carrying out some due diligence on that right now. So again, you can join for as little as $9 a month. Details are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.